live. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Sonia Crystal Williams, the co-founder at Go Getter Marketing Group. So I am going to invite my colleague on. Give us just a moment. We're going to invite her on to collaborate with us, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Thanks, everyone, for jumping on. So as you all know, we are a digital marketing agency. We're based in Atlanta, Georgia, and we are doing a live today. We've got the holiday lights. It's kind of festive here, just to kind of really get you prepped for the new year and what you need to be thinking about if you're running a business. So Linnea's jumping on. Hey, Linnea.
Hello.
All right, so you guys, this is our first live, and we're taking our own advice officially under Go Getter Marketing Group. Today, we're talking about prepping for your next year. If you run a business, if you're starting a business, we specialize at Go Getter Marketing Group in working with small business owners, mid-sized businesses. We've worked with quite a few startups as well, and helping them get trained on really where they're going with their digital marketing. And when we hear that term digital marketing, it's pretty broad. So I want to define that. And then for those of you jumping on, thanks for joining us. We'll share a little bit about ourselves so you know who we are. But the topic today is around prepping for digital marketing in 2022 if you run a business, and doing social media management, running email campaigns for your business. It's very different when you're doing it as a business owner outside of doing it for yourself individually. The way you manage an Instagram business page is going to be a little bit different than how you manage it if you are an individual. So you really want to think about what does that look like, you know, and our goal is to help you map that out in 2022, starting with ourselves, because this has been one of our goals to start developing and creating more video content in 2022 and beyond. So we're speaking from experience as well as sharing, you know, some things with you all. So let's start out by doing intros. Linnea, I'll let you kick it off.
Awesome. So hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I am Linnea Davis. I am a digital associate with the Go Getter Marketing Group. I have a communications degree with an emphasis in PR. I have experience in content development, content management for multiple businesses and organizations and personal brands. Along with that, I worked with anywhere from a spa to a law firm to a financial firm. And yeah, that's about it.
Yep. You joined us, Linnea. How long has it been now that you've been with Go Getter Marketing Group?
Oh gosh, it feels like forever ago, but I think it was maybe like a little over a year. Am I right?
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
was it right before the pandemic and everything got kind of crazy?
Yeah, yes, yes.
Leading right into that. Yeah. Well, good.
Exactly.
All right. So a little bit about myself, everyone. Again, I'm Sonia Crystal Williams. I'm the co-founder at Go Getter Marketing Group. And we've been in business for over a decade. We help and specialize in working with small business owners, mid-sized business owners, and really growing your presence. We help your brand grow and expand digitally, right? So you have the traditional world of print advertising, billboards, and all of that, TV commercials. We don't do any of that stuff. We do everything online. So we can do the ads, but they're all online. We can help you with your email campaign. We can help you with your website. So those are some of the things we do. So today we're talking about prepping for digital in 2022. And we've got a list of some tips we're going to share. I've got my notebook out with lots of good information that we're going to walk you through and really kind of just talk about what some of the highlights are for where we're really going. So I want to start out with kind of, to me, as a digital marketer, it's one of the obvious things you should be doing, but it's one of the areas that a lot of business owners will overlook. And it's one of those things that if you don't spend some time doing this one thing, you will find yourself probably in a pattern where either you plateau or you get stuck at some point. If it's not, you know, in the year itself, at some point with your business, you're going to get stuck. And that place is taking a moment to really go in and audit your brand and really figure out where are the gaps? What am I missing? Where are the best opportunities for us digitally? So most businesses will create a website, right? And you'll do that. But getting other people to look at that website and really having someone take a look at it and audit it for you. If you're not having anyone professional do it, it could be friends, but making sure they know briefly, as soon as I get to the website, what am I supposed to be doing? That should be what you should be asking those people. If your website doesn't lead someone to what's called a call to action right away when they land on the site, something's missing, because most websites, the goal is either you're selling a product or you're selling a service. It's that simple. And you got to either be selling the products on the website, which should be easy for people to find and access. If it's a service, then you need to have something on the website that gets them to take some kind of action, whether that's a contact us, whether it's requesting on our site, it's request a consultation or a discovery call. It's also join our email list. Those type of things are the things that move the meter, particularly when you're a newer business. Even when you're a business that's more established, you still need to do this. We call this user experience. You need to have someone really go through the site and go through it as if they were the customer or the consumer that you're trying to capture, and making sure that really whatever it is, that call to action, whatever you're trying to get people to do, they can do it quickly and easily, and they can find it within 1 to 2 clicks. If it takes them more than 1 to 2 clicks from your homepage to get people to go where you're trying to get them to go on your site, we have a problem. So we've got to do the audit first. And it's okay if that happens, if you have a site and it's time for it to get revamped. These are things you build and improve on over time. Our website, probably over the course of a decade or plus, we've been in business now for 12 years, we're probably on version 5 or 6 of our website. So it is an evolving process, because you want to keep up with things happening, you know, in the industry, trends that happen, adding video to your site. Like, you've got to keep your stuff. It's like updating wardrobe, right? Like, Linnea, we were just talking yesterday about you having this vintage clothing store, and it's like that, keeping up with the trends.
Exactly.
What other things, Linnea, from your standpoint, you know, kind of working some of the clients that you're working with, what are some of the things that you see when it comes to website and just kind of auditing that people need to do?
Yeah, of course. So I totally agree with you. It is super important to keep up with those trends and what seems to be working. And even for you, just going in and looking at some of those other sites, maybe even looking at your competition to see, you know, hey, they're getting a lot of views, they're getting a lot of followers, they're getting a lot of traffic on their sites. You know, what can I do and how can I implement that into our brand and what we're doing, and just looking for ways to constantly enhance your brand and enhance your business is super important. So I definitely think doing your research and like we had mentioned before, keeping up with those trends is very, very important. And just you have to make sure you're constantly growing as well, because things are constantly changing, and you have to, as much as it's so hard to get out of your old ways, you have to change with it. So yeah, it's very important.
That's such a good point. Like, a takeaway, everyone, is like, digital marketing, social media moves at the speed of light, right? You constantly hear about these algorithm changes. Instagram, I think they just announced a few days ago that there's an option now where you can change your feed back to chronological, or you can keep it how it is now. Yes. They constantly make these changes. So as a business owner, you either need to be the person staying in tune, or you need to have someone on your team who's keeping up with how things are constantly shifting. Yes. Another great point about that audit, when you're auditing your brand, is the competition. That's huge. Pay attention to competition. You're still doing what you do as your business. You're not looking at competition because you're worried. You're looking at competition to learn. You want to understand what they're doing. Are there things that they're doing that you could take and apply to your business and do it in your own way, or do it better, right? So we definitely pay attention to competitor websites. We watched competitors on social media to see, what are they talking about? What are they doing? And if you find yourself, like many of our clients are actually the leaders in their industry, they're the ones that the competitors are probably going to figure out what they're doing. So if you're the leader in the industry, even better, but you can still go out and find other sites that don't have to necessarily be competitors that you aspire to be like or that you can learn from. And that creates a great opportunity in terms of thinking about how you can go about auditing your brand. Another thing that we'll do, like when we're auditing for clients, and we kind of go through this 21-step process. And part of that process is we are auditing everything that's happening on the website. So again, like we said, can the calls to action be found in 1 to 2 clicks on your website that gets people to do something, fill out a form, buy a product, buy a purchase something, sign up on an email list, request a demo, just depends on what you're selling or offering people. So there's that part of it, going through the website. Is your color scheme in alignment with your brand? Is your messaging in alignment? Are you communicating in the right way to the audience that you want to capture? And then that rolls into, okay, now what are we doing on social media? On social media, does that continue? Can someone go from my website to Instagram to Facebook to LinkedIn and connect the dots and know that we're all the same company and know that we're selling like a unified product or service? If it feels disjointed, that's an area where you've got to step back and assess and then put that down in 2022 on your checklist of like, these are things that I need to tighten up to grow my brand. Now, let me also ask y'all, as y'all are jumping in, if you have questions, feel free to go ahead and drop any questions you have. We're talking about prepping for digital marketing and social media in 2022 for your business. And right now, of course, we're at the start of the year when everyone's got New Year's resolutions. It's planning time, right? So it's a really great idea to start planning in the process. We got a cousin on here.
Yes, hi.
All right. So, all right. So that rolls into like after you've completed the audit and you've assessed. So again, we're assessing what's going on the website. We're assessing what's happening with your social media. We're assessing what else are we assessing? We typically will also assess other things like, do you have reviews? And if you have reviews coming in, are those linked to the website or social media? Reviews are everything nowadays. Like pretty much all of us shop on Amazon, right? Like you've gone on Amazon, right, Linnea?
Yes.
When you shop for a product on Amazon, like what is one of the first things that you do?
Oh my gosh, of course. You have to look at the reviews.
You have to look at the reviews.
Yes, not just for Amazon though, just like for any website that you're buying on. And sometimes too, some of those reviews, as long as people are extremely honest, those can help you decide whether or not you're buying the product or if you're going to use the service. And one thing I also look at too, which is very important, and this is part of your marketing as well, is if that company or brand is answering those reviews. Like they get the reviews, but are you actually going in and saying, hey, thanks, I'm glad you love our product? I look at that too, and I pay attention to that because that means that that brand isn't just counting the customer as a number. They're paying attention to what you're saying and taking your words into consideration for how they can better themselves. So yes, reviews are everything now.
Huge. And the way we take that and we think about how that applies when we're doing an audit is if you don't have the reviews, you got to start building them. And again, it doesn't matter if you are a product-based company or a service-based company, you can start getting reviews. We started getting our first reviews using Google My Business. So we have a brick and mortar office location and we set up a profile so that when people do Google searches for Go Getter Marketing Group, our Google profile pops up and there are reviews there. Our Facebook page, there are reviews there. So doesn't matter what kind of business you're in, you can start accumulating reviews. And I think about it as like, again, that Amazon effect, right? Everybody goes looking at reviews. And to Linnea's point, you might even look to see, is the company commenting on reviews? So think about it that way. You don't have to be a big business to accumulate that. You can start doing that on your own. That should be part of your process when you're thinking about, okay, what are my competitors doing or what am I missing out on that I need to be executing? So think about reviews as part of that audit process as well. there's a couple of other things we're going to get into, like email campaigns and search engine optimization, SEO, making sure you get found when people type your name in on Google. So we'll get into that, but all of those things go into the audit, all right? For those of you that have been in business and established a little longer, you're probably doing things in each of those buckets. So then it's also, again, fine tuning. Okay, we, started on SEO maybe, and we are ranking, but how do we ensure we rank on more keywords? So you start getting into those type of things to figure out where to go next. All right, so audit number one. All right, if we're doing a checklist, y'all, for prepping for digital for 2022, audit your brand. That's number one. Okay. Number two, after we audit, that gives us the fuel we need to build an action plan. So the action plan has many components to it. One of them is goals. So I'll talk a little bit about it, and then Lene, I want to give you the space to talk a little bit about what goes into the action plan, because you're really a big part of that process as we're helping with clients and building their action plans. But one of the big pieces that goes into that is just, what are my goals? What are my goals for 2022? The same way everyone, we set up personally New Year's resolutions, or some of y'all say, I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. You probably want to accomplish something in 22, no matter whatever you want to call it. We want to accomplish something. So when we're running a business, we need to think about, what are we trying to accomplish for this business this year? I personally like to break that down quarter by quarter, because so much can shift throughout the year, which we've seen over the past few years. A lot has happened. So I like to have the room to kind of, pivot when necessary. But keeping that in mind, what are your goals for 2022? Some goals that we often hear could be something as simple as, I want to grow my following on Instagram. That's my huge goal. I want more people to know who I am. I want more people to recognize me. So that's great. Just make sure you're specific. Don't say, I want to grow. By what percentage do you want to grow? Is there a certain number? If you have 1,000 followers today, do you want to get to 3,000 or 5,000 by the end of 2022? Just think about what that is. And then ask yourself why. Ask yourself why. If you're trying to grow followers, why? And what does that do for your brand, right? It's nice to have the numbers, but you also want to be thinking about, what's the quality attached to that? And if I'm doing this, what will success look like? I grew my following, yay. But what does that really mean? Are you getting sales from it? It could be awareness too, though. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge believer, grow that audience, because you just need people to start seeing you and knowing who you are. So that is a part of it too. It could just be for awareness, but whatever that means, just go a little deeper and ask yourself that question. Why am I doing this? And what does success look like to me in the end? So that could be one goal. Another goal could be, we are launching our website and we want to get leads through our website. So again, how many, try to get specific. Is it, 5 leads per day, 5 leads per week, 5 leads per month? What does that really look like for you? Okay, so Lene, I'll let you jump in. Those are some of the things I think that go in the action plan. What else?
Yeah, of course. So an action plan is huge. We definitely suggest creating one, whether it be for 2022 or years following. Basically, it is like how you were describing, Sonia. It's an overview of what you intend to do throughout the year and how you do intend to reach those goals. Along with just your goals, though, included in the action plan is a timeline. When do you aim to get those things done? When do you aim to reach those goals? Your inspirations, social media themes, outreach campaigns, and any additional marketing aspects that you'd like to cover. And what we like to do at Go Getter Marketing Group, when we actually create the action plan with our clients, we like to review the action plan with our clients, letting them know this is what we'd like to do. We really think goals are reachable based off of, our research that we did about what you've been doing. And then we also like to review the action plan again with them at the end of the year, just to touch base on our progress. Did we reach those goals? Okay, So if we didn't, let's go over how we can do it better this year, and we'll create a new action plan from that. So it's huge, and it's definitely helpful to do so. It helps you to stay organized, and it also helps you keep in mind just what your goals are and what you are looking to do and looking to cover for the year. So it's super helpful, super helpful. So you should definitely consider it if you haven't, not pushing anything, but super helpful for sure.
I'm pushing it. You need an action plan. If you're in business, you need an action plan. Now, here's what I'll say about the action plan, right? You're not a Coca-Cola, right? We're not Coca-Colas here. We don't need a 100-page document that 20 people contributed to. We're talking about a simple, could be a 5-page document that just maps out, again, monthly, what are some of the themes? Think ahead. You know, certain holidays will roll around throughout the year. If you want to create promotions for your products or services around some of those holidays, and if so, where will you execute that? When we think digitally, we'll say, all right, we know that we're working with a client, and I'll use a real client, for example. We have a client who manufactures lighting. They sell all their lighting products in all your major Home Depot, Lowe's, stores like that. We know, and we're already planning for their new product launches that are coming out January, February, March. We already know, so we're already putting together, all right, what does the Instagram campaign need to look like? They're already prepping to record video and put together a video clip with the new products they're going to be launching. We know those things are happening, so we can think strategically. And we know as we get further into the year, there's going to be certain seasons where products like that sell well. They make lighting. So in the summer, we're going to talk about ceiling fans. You know, in the winter, we might talk about other types of lighting that are more appropriate when, you know, families are planning to upgrade their lighting in the home as we get toward the winter or the holidays. So you start going theme by theme, month by month, and really figuring out what you want that to look like. The other thing you also might think about in that action plan that's really important is making sure that you are really mapping that out. And again, attach goals to it, okay? Think about the content that you're gonna need to develop. Am I gonna be creating video content throughout the year? Am I gonna be creating blog content? And whatever you're doing in that action plan, be realistic about what you can stick to consistently. What can you do consistently? If it's and again, I use this as the example I mentioned at the start of this, but one of our goals as a company is to create more video content in 2022. So get ready for more lives, right? But our schedule right now is we know that we are not going to be creating lives on a weekly basis. So right now, our simple goal is one per month. And then we'll start to, as we build these up, we'll start to have a goal around, okay, how many viewers do we want to get? And then we'll build a plan and kind of work backwards on what does it take to grow that viewership? What does it take and what do we want out of that? What does success look like, right? So again, that's how you start stringing this together. What kind of content am I creating? Are my goals too lofty? Are my goals attainable? And try to get specific about what you can do and how you can do it. And then you might, again, think about, is the content that I'm creating, is it the same across every platform where I'm marketing? Is it going to be the same on my website, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest? For us, for example, we're only doing this live on Instagram to start.
Yes.
We're going to shift into LinkedIn next year. We know that we don't have as strong an audience on Facebook, so we're actually not going to focus on Facebook. So what we implement doesn't exactly look the same across channels. So you want to think about that for your product or service too. Some things that you talk about on one social media network or that you might talk about in an email campaign might be totally different than what you talk about, for example, on the website. Messaging should be consistent, but what you present to one audience, for example, for us, our audience on Instagram, is also going to be different than what we present to our LinkedIn audience because they're also a very different audience. So even in launching this for us, goal-wise, like we're thinking about those things. So that's what I want to challenge everyone to do. Think about that and how that rolls out and plays into your action plan. And really, again, what does that look like for you? So developing the action plan is really, really huge. Think about, again, bottom line, what do I want to get out of this? And one final thing I'll say on the action plan is measurement, okay? So again, if we are an individual, measurement's not important. I put a post up, people see it, great. I don't care, 100 likes, great, 50 likes, great. As a business though, because we're attaching it to an outcome that we're hoping to achieve, whether that's follower growth, whether that's getting sales or inquiries to your website, you want to start measuring how that's impacted. So a few tools, if you're not familiar with these yet, that I want to encourage you to get. Every website needs to have Google Analytics. It's free. Every website needs to also have, and this is one a lot of people say, yeah, I got Google Analytics, okay? But you also have Google Search Console. Make sure you have Google Search Console, because that is another tool that's going to give you some in-depth information about how people found your website, what keywords they use to find your website, and what pages of your website they're finding most frequently. I bring up the website, and the reason you want to have a tool like that that's measuring your website traffic is because think of your website as your base. It's home. It's your foundation. It's where majority of people will find you when they're looking for you by name or by their interest in, again, your product or service. So that's your base or your roots if we were a tree, right? And then from that, we've got the branches of Instagram, Facebook, email marketing, all those other things that you might be doing, YouTube, all those other things, but you've got to measure it. So Google Analytics is going to give you the baseline to measure your site. It's going to help you understand if you are getting traffic from email, YouTube, Instagram, all those different channels, paid advertising, Google ads. It's going to tell you if those people ended up on your site, and you're going to know which one is really delivering the best benefit to you. Okay. So y'all feel free, if you have questions as you're listening, feel free to drop in if you have any questions as we're chatting. But again, we're going to keep talking about preparing for 2022 when it comes to your digital marketing. Okay, so far we've talked about on your checklist, audit should be at the top of the things that you're doing right now to prepare for 2022. Then from the audit, we're building an action plan. Okay, so what are we doing from there? Let's talk about some of the other subsets of things that we got on our list here. So one of the things let's talk about blogs, Linnea. Let's talk a little bit about the blogging kind of world, and what are things that people need to be thinking about if they're either launching a blog or they already have a blog and they need to think about, how do I enhance this rolling into this year?
Yeah, of course. So blog-wise, one huge thing about blogs is a lot of people don't know this. If you're going into 2022 and let's say you already have some blog content, a lot of people don't know you can actually repurpose your content from 2021 as long as it is still current and relevant. You can go in, make those edits if you need to. You can repurpose it with a new title, add a photo, add a video. And that same blog content can actually still be used, like I said, as long as it's still relevant. And you can just have a different way of using it. So maybe it worked in 2021 and now in 2022, it works again. So a lot of people don't know you can actually repurpose content. So that's a really big thing.
This is a great point, and I'm gonna pause you just for a second.
Yes.
Because I want to hone in on that, because it ties everything that we're talking about together. Okay, so if we have Google Analytics data, first of all, we're going to know how many people are coming to our different blog posts. You can take exactly what Linnea is saying. If you know that in 2021, this blog post on how to train your puppy, let's just use that as an example. This blog post on how to train your puppy got 5,000 views, and all your other blog posts normally get 1,000, then we know that's a standout article. So how do we repurpose that? Well, there's a couple of different ways that benefits you. To Linnea's point, you could retitle it. You could also just update the content or text within the article. That's going to also give you the SEO benefit. One of the things that search engines really are loving right now, especially Google, is long form content. If you originally wrote that article and it was 500 words in 2021 when you wrote it, make it a 1,000 word article in 2022, and your traffic will likely continue to increase as long as you're adding in more keywords into that article. Again, to Linnea's point, you could also supplement that with adding a video or photo, you know, whatever makes more sense to beef up that content.
Mm-hmm.
And then you continue the cycle of repurposing content, because we do get this question a lot.
Yes.
Of like, can I reuse old stuff? Absolutely. It's how you position it. You know, when you are rolling it back out to your social media audience, you might change, of course, the caption. You're not going to use the same caption originally. And it's okay to tell people, we updated this with more information, or this is our 2022 version.
Yes.
So you could do that. You could take the article, and if you don't have video content, then you could create a video out of that content. If you're podcasting, invite someone to join you as an expert in that field and take that topic because you know it performs well, and amplify the effect that you have with that topic. So those are different things, thinking creatively of how you start to repurpose content. Okay, sorry, Linnea, I didn't mean to interrupt your thoughts.
No,
that was just such
fine.
a big point, because that question comes up. I just got that question last week about someone who told me they were on a trip with a client in the Dominican Republic, and how they got all this great video, and they're like, I posted some of it and I don't know what to do with the rest of it. And oh my gosh, there's so much you can do. So, so really thinking about how to repurpose that content as a business is huge.
And going back to that point too, Sonia, even if, let's say your company or your business is big on video. So if you do have a lot of videos, you can actually go back to those videos, maybe transcribe the video and make some edits. And those videos actually make great blog content as well. Even if it's just grasping an idea from the video or using what's said in the entire video and adding some extra context, that can also be a great way to stick with the theme, you know, video and a blog, and a great way to get ideas. Maybe you'll derive a full blog from a video. Maybe you can get 2 or 3 blog articles out of a video. So that's huge. Yeah, definitely going back and looking at previous content that you have. And you don't know, you might get some ideas from something that you previously did, and you can write a blog article based on that. So yes, that's definitely huge.
So those are some blog ideas. As you prep for 2022 digital, those are some ways to take your blog. Great secret we'll share with you. We use a tool called SpeechPad. You can find it at speechpad.com. That is one of our favorite tools. And we use it when we have video content that we want to turn into a blog. We get the video, we submit the video to SpeechPad, we get it transcribed, and then written copy back and transform it into a blog post by applying headers and appropriate imagery. And then we may change the tone, because speaking and video is more conversational. So we'll reword it a bit, but it really does give you the base, and it gives you speed in being able to create new blog content. Awesome. Okay, so again, quick recap, prepping for 2022 digital as a business. We said audit. We need to develop an action plan. In the action plan, some of the subsets of things that might be in that action plan, number one we just covered was blogging, all right? The other thing that should also be a part of your action plan, and there's debates about this, but I would say email or some form of written communication. So for some businesses, that's shifting more into text and SMS campaigns. And messaging campaigns using things like Facebook Messenger. I think that's an excellent trend, because when people pick up their phone, they are very likely to engage based on whatever they're seeing message-wise. So the open rate on anything SMS related, which would be messaging type apps, we're talking over 90%, okay? Now, emails are still relevant, okay? Having someone's email address is still an excellent way to reach them, but we are talking about lower open rates. On average, for most businesses, you can expect an open rate in the 20 to 25% range, no matter what industry you're in. If you are achieving open rates above that, you are doing phenomenal. So you might have email figured out. But for most businesses, even if that's the case, you're still pushing to make sure your content is noticed and visible. So with email campaigns, you really need to be thinking about, what can I do to make sure I'm growing my list? List growth is going to be one of the things top of mind. Now, here's one of the things I always suggest. Think about, how do I bridge people from following me on a social network into my email ecosystem or community. And the reason why that's so important is think this might sound a little pessimistic, but I want y'all to think realistically. If Instagram, and this happened earlier this year, right? Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp were down for about a day.
Yeah.
Right? What happens if something like that happens again, right? People are building their entire businesses on these platforms. But the reality is you don't own the data. Meaning when people follow you, your only connection to them is possibly DMing them on that platform. Now, again, there are ways to utilize that. But to me, nothing replaces you finding a way to get them out of Instagram and get them out of Facebook and really gain their true contact information so you can engage with them beyond the platform and have other means and other channels where you're gaining visibility as a brand. So that's huge. That's probably, to me, the biggest takeaway that I can give you all as you're thinking about prepping for 2022. If you have a huge follower base, even if it's small and growing, find ways to bridge people. Now, what are ways that you could do that? Running contests is one of the easiest ways to do it.
Yes.
Running contests through your social media platform and having a landing page or a place where people can get either more entries or part of the requirements for that contest is simply email address, phone, whatever you want it to be, or them opting into your newsletter content. That's going to be a great way to bridge people off of a social network, especially if you have something that people are really interested in and that they desire. That's going to work to your advantage. So contest is going to be one of the best ways you can bridge that. You can also just ask, you know, you can also literally just ask. That could be in the form of DMing. I have a friend who did this really well in the fitness industry, and part of how she grew her following and email list in the beginning of establishing that account, which is over 100,000 followers today. But part of how she did that was her and her partner literally just engaged with people as they started following them and connecting with them and asking them to follow them back and saying, hey, if you like my content, can we connect beyond Instagram or Facebook or wherever you're connected with them? And literally ask them to join your email list. There are a lot of great services you can sign up for: MailChimp, HubSpot, Constant Contact, Keep. These are all great services that you can use to manage your email campaigns. So think about how you want to approach email in 2022. So we've got, again, our quick recap: prepping for digital. So we've got audit. We want to do an action plan after we've audited. And then from there, under our action plan, we want to have subsets of the channels we're focused on, which includes, so far, blogging, email. And earlier, for those of you that missed it, we also just talked about the website being the foundation of all of this and how important that is, and how when you get people to your website, you need to make sure within 1 to 2 clicks, they are getting to where you need them to go, whether that's buying a product, whether that's filling out a form. You need to make sure your website is guiding people along the way when you are running a business and you're doing social media for business purposes and your website exists to get business. Those are the things you really want to be thinking about. All right, y'all. So if you have any questions so far about some of the things we've been talking about, feel free to drop a question. And then also kind of our plug, our shameless plug, we're Go Getter Marketing Group. We've been in business for over a decade, helping small businesses and mid-sized businesses that are growing and helping them really enhance their presence digitally, get known more, generate leads. Those are huge parts of what we do. And we work across all different types of industries. We're at gogettergroup.com. Okay, so next thing that we need to be thinking about on the action plan. So I touched on this a little bit earlier, and that is SEO, search engine optimization. So that's huge. That's going to continue to be huge, just getting found. We use Google a lot as an example just because about 80% of the world goes to Google first to do their search if they go to a search engine. So your site getting found in that ecosystem of millions of websites is pretty critical. You just want to hone in and stay in your lane. Focus on the keywords that matter to you, right? It's hard to compete against millions of sites, but the more you focus on keywords that are really in alignment with what your audience is looking for, and the more you know that about your audience and what kind of words they use to describe your product or service,
Yes.
easier time you're going to have updating your website with keywords that help get you found. All right.
Mhm.
So SEO is huge. Now, those two tools that I referenced earlier, Google Analytics and Google Search Console, are huge because those are the tools that will help guide what you're doing with SEO for free. Now, there are many other tools you can pay for that also provide a tremendous service in improving your SEO. But if you need something to start, whether you're a startup, small business, large business, pretty much the world is using those tools, okay, no matter what size business they are. And those tools will help you understand how much traffic you're getting to your site, what pages on your website people tend to navigate to, what keywords they're using in order to find you. Those are some of the key
Yes.
areas that help when it comes to SEO. So think about really, what do you need to do when it comes to SEO? How can you enhance your visibility? How can you get found more? And that goes back to auditing. If you've never audited your website from an SEO standpoint, then go on Google, do a search, SEO audit, free SEO audit. And there are tons of tools that you can plug in your domain that will run a site analysis and help you get a quick picture of, okay, here's a quick list of some of the things that my site needs to improve SEO. That's your starting point. And then you use it from there to really start figuring out how to engage and improve your SEO, your search presence, how people find you. Linnea, would you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, even going back to what we were saying about researching, we were doing this with a client not too long ago, Sonia. We go online ourselves and we'll search those keywords and see
Yep.
what pops up. And then we'll see, okay, you're not popping up, but the competition's popping up. So what can we do to get on top of that competition? So again, going back to doing your research, sometimes you do have to look at what the competition's doing. You know, what are they using? What keywords are they using? And then you have to see from there, hone in on that and see how you can get above that. So yeah.
Perfect. Exactly. Research is everything, y'all. Pay
Mm-hmm.
attention to those competitors. And again, there are a
Yes.
lot of great tools out there that you can use that will even help you see what competitors your keywords are ranking on. So
Mm-hmm.
do your research and make sure you're taking a look at that. As
Yeah.
part of our process, again, when we're doing that 21-point audit, we're looking at those things, and that to Linnea's point, that's part of our assessment process, and making sure that as a company you understand where you fit into the landscape versus competition and other sites that might be popping up right alongside yours, and where is yours when someone does a Google
Yeah.
search on page one. You know, are you at the top, are you at the bottom, and how do you start getting your rank to improve over time? So those things are really critical when you think about
Mm-hmm.
how this all applies. Okay.
Definitely.
All right. So let's see. I've got my list here. That's why I keep looking down and just like, what do we need to make sure we're covering? So so again, the next thing when we think about what falls into that action plan and the subset of things is just, which we've kind of been talking about this as a whole, but it's just social media. Where does social media fit into all of this? Now, I'm a believer that you don't need to be on every single social media network. Okay. You need to be where your clients are and where you can effectively manage as a business to keep your presence up consistently. If we don't have those two things checked off, we probably don't need to be on that social media network right now. TikTok. Linnea, what are your thoughts about TikTok? Because this question, TikTok's coming up a lot. What, do you
It
think businesses
is.
have a place on TikTok?
It has come up a lot. It's very, very popular. It's an awesome social platform. Now, yes, this is where I think businesses do need to figure out whether or not they can have a presence on TikTok. TikTok, it is branching off into being like a, oh no, I see multiple generations on there, but it is for the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are a business selling something that's for, let's say you're a business selling retirement plans, or obviously you're not going to market your TikTok to a younger audience.
Right.
So yeah, TikTok's great. And don't get me wrong, a lot of dancing, it's very trendy. But going back to your point, Sonia, yes, you do have to see where you're fitting in. Obviously, you know, doctors doing dancing videos that were great, but maybe for another company it might not work that way. So
Right.
you do have to go in and just see where you fit and where your place would be. And hey, maybe at the end of the day, TikTok for your business, and there's
Right.
nothing wrong with that. So yeah, TikTok is great though. So if you want to utilize it, hey, we're all for it.
Right. So I think if you're thinking about, and we use TikTok as an example, but this is really the thought process you have to apply to any social media network that you're evaluating if you want to grow, is again, can I consistently create content here? TikTok is video based. If you are shy about being on video, it might not be the right place, right? Unless you have people at your company who feel comfortable with it. And then you've got to think about what are the trends happening in a place like TikTok, where you got to keep up with it. Same thing true of Snapchat, because that question comes up too. Should I be on Snapchat? So it very much depends when you're putting these things into consideration of whether or not you can keep up with how fast and quickly things evolve. Now again, the reason why it's attractive and alluring is, hey, it's a new network, and so posted a cat video, and they got 1 million, views off of the cat video. So how can I do that? I want my stuff to go viral, and we'll hear that, but there's not a formula for something going viral. And in fact, if you want something to go viral, it usually happens when least expected, right? So you really need to be strategic in selecting where you want to establish your presence from a social media standpoint. My feeling is, go where your strengths are and keep building on the strengths, okay? If you're really good at creating cool, engaging graphics that work well on Instagram, keep building there, and then do what we talked about earlier, which is bridge your people out of Instagram into your email campaigns, onto your website, get their contact information, like grow that exponentially. And then when you feel like, okay, I've maxed out here, now maybe we start shifting into some of the other places where you can have more expansion. Again, it very much depends on the size of your business and what kind of support you have. Even in larger companies that we've worked with, they have small marketing teams. So they have to be very mindful about how much output they can create based on having a small team, so you've really got to think about that. Even if you're an individual business owner, does that work for you? Is it going to work for you? So really, again, those are some of the things to think about when it comes to what plays a role in all of this and where you want to go with social media. The other thing you got to think about with social media is also evaluating, is there one that maybe I shouldn't be on anymore? So this one comes up a lot. Facebook comes up a lot. People ask, should we still be on Facebook? And I kind of think about Facebook as it's like a catch-all. Okay, there's no harm in being there. Pretty much anything you can do on every other social network, you can do it in Facebook because it's the catch-all, and you can create any kind of content in Facebook. That's the other advantage to it. So from video to reels to stories, it's all there in Facebook. But again, it goes back to, is your audience there? I will say, don't overlook Facebook, because that question comes up too. Don't overlook it. Don't abandon it just because the trend is, I don't know if people are on there anymore. If your audience is there, you can and should be there. So that's always your guiding light when it comes to figuring out whether or not you should be on a social media network. All right, so I see a few new people join. Thanks for jumping on, you guys and ladies. As you're here again, we're talking about prepping your business for 2022 when it comes to digital marketing. And we've covered some things. We're getting toward the end here of just things on our hit list. The last area I want to cover is paid advertising, because you can run paid ad campaigns through Google Ads. You can run them through Facebook ads, Instagram ads, pretty much all the social networks you can run them. And that's where our specialty lies when we're working with clients and helping businesses build campaigns. We're building on digital channels. So that doesn't negate some of the offline things you need to do, because I'm still a believer in the kind of the mesh between offline marketing and online marketing and how those play off of each other. But when it comes to digital, there are a lot of places where you can advertise. Let's talk about boosted posts first. And we're going to talk about boosted posts, but I'm also going to throw out there to you all, other things beyond boosted posts exist. Sometimes we'll run into a business that says, yeah, we're advertising, but all they've been doing is launching boosted posts, which is fine. It's great for awareness. but there are many other advertising options beyond that. What are your thoughts around boosted posts, Linnea, and the things you've done
Yeah.
for some of our clients?
Yeah, so boosted posts are great, especially on Facebook. We have boosted anywhere between a video to a photo, multiple photos. It definitely helps you to get exposed to a new audience. It's guaranteed visibility. It enhances traffic for either your social networks or your website. You can include a learn more button taking you to your website, or you can have a messaging button so that potential prospects can message you. It also increases your engagement, which is amazing. And which in turn, of course, all of these things get you more business. And another good thing about boosted posts is you can actually create your target audience, which does come in handy. So to give you an example, for a real estate client we might create a video or a post, telling people from California, hey, move to Atlanta. So obviously, if you're already living in the Atlanta area, we're not going to target those that live in the Atlanta area. So what we could do though in a boosted post is we can actually go in and target people who are living in California. So they will actually be able to see the boosted posts. So that does come in handy with getting you exposed to the audiences that you've always wanted to be exposed to. And it helps you get in front of the audience that you need to get in front of.
So boosted post really gives you that exposure. It's quick and easy too. I will say
It
that's
is.
why a lot of businesses will jump to that first, because it's quick and easy to do boosted posts through social
Yeah.
network. However, a couple of thoughts. One, if you're advertising directly through the Instagram app, it limits how many types of ads you can run. It really does just let you do a promoted post. However, if you want to expand, if you've been thinking about running ads on Instagram, I prefer to run them through Facebook. And what I mean by that is Facebook will allow you to create ads just for Instagram, but you set them up through the Facebook platform. Why is that important or helpful? Because it gives you the ability to run other ads beyond promoted posts, where you can build the ad from scratch. The other advantage is when you do the ad through the Instagram app, the post has to already be up. If I do it through Facebook and I build it from the ground up, I can make it where the ad never appears on my profile page. It's just an ad that's running only for the people I'm looking to see, not my organic or natural audience. So that helps a lot, in my opinion, because there's just certain things you might not want your current audience to see, that you might be running a promotion, and the promotion is just for new customers, not our current customers. So, so those are some of the things that help. When we also think about other forms of advertising, you have the ability to run what we call remarketing ads. Now, some of you may have heard this term, or if you've never heard the term, you've experienced it. You go to Macy's.com, you look at a pair of shoes, you leave Macy's, and then later on when you're on Instagram or Facebook or some other social network later, the shoes pop up in an ad basically saying, buy me, right? That is remarketing. Macy's knows that you went to their website and then you left their website, but they know exactly what you looked at, and then they serve you ads to try to lure you back to sell those shoes to you. Well, guess what? That's nothing special or unique to Macy's. Any size business can do that. We call those remarketing campaigns. Specifically, if we're on a platform like Facebook or Instagram, you set that up through what we call custom audiences. So those are some tips and things that you might want to explore rolling into 2022. If you haven't gotten into doing that form of advertising yet, let that be aspirationally for you, or something you choose to implement in 2022, the next direction you go. Now, the one thing I will caution you about, if you're going to run any kind of ads that are running back to people who have been on your website, is that they are only effective if the traffic you're currently getting to your website is already good traffic that's converting. What I mean is, if you have a website and you're not getting sales or inquiries or hits, then running a remarketing campaign to people who have been to your site won't be that effective, because you're just showing ads to people who weren't that interested to begin with. So you really want to make sure before you implement that type of paid advertising campaign, it's people who are really interested in your product or service. All right. So we're going to wrap it there for today, y'all. I'm going to just kind of do the quick review of what we've talked about today and also leave it open. Please jump on our email list. If y'all want to get more tips like this, we do have our company blog, which you can find us at gogettergroup.com/blog, or just go to gogettergroup.com and click on all the way down to the bottom of the page, bottom left corner, there's a join our email list link. You can join our email list, and we send out tons of tips like this all the time. We'll be doing more video in 2022 because we shared and we were pretty transparent. This is our goal in 2022 as we talk about prepping for 2022. Yeah. But on our hit list, again, just things to remember is start with your audit. Okay, so nothing's going to beat, if you already have a business, going in and making sure you've audited what you're currently doing, which includes making sure within 1 to 2 clicks when people are on your website, people can get to where they need to go or where you're trying to direct them, and that you have a strong call to action in place. That call to action honestly should extend into your social media as well, your email campaigns, ways that people are finding your business online. Make sure you have a clear call to action in place that gets people to do something, whatever that something is that's important to your business. Also make sure from that audit you use whatever you discovered in that audit to build an action plan. The action plan needs to include goals, and you need to be pretty specific about what your goals are and what you want to achieve in 2022. You also might in that action plan think about what kind of content am I going to be rolling out to people? Is it video? Is it photos? What social networks will I be focused on? So make sure we're doing that. Also think about the blog, your blog. If you have a blog, how are you going to get deeper into that blog? We talked about different ways you could repurpose older content and create blogs off of that. So make sure you're thinking of ways to do that. Also think about your email campaigns, and remember what we talked about. Use social networks to grow your email list. That could be through contests, that could be through asking directly. Keep those things in mind. SEO is important. Make sure you're using those 2 tools we talked about, Google Analytics, Google Search Console, to help guide you so that you can get your site found on more search engines and get ranked higher over time. And then with social media, again, our big takeaway, assess. Should I be on this social network? If you're thinking about expanding into new ones, excuse me, just make sure that your audience is there. And then my approach, go where your strengths are. Max out on the social networks where you already are starting to get some momentum. Max out there first before you spread yourself too thin across too many, and make sure you can consistently create content all the time. And then finally, paid ads, which we just covered. Think about different ways you can go beyond boosting posts. Think about remarketing, custom audiences, and there are so many other forms. We do trainings on this, by the way, too. We train, we've done trainings anywhere from 2 hours to 3 days with some businesses and marketing teams that just need help, and really, even if it's just that, even if it's just running ad campaigns. So there's a lot of different avenues that we support businesses, but we wanted to give you some information, even if you're doing this on your own, to make sure that you're thinking about how to prioritize what you're doing in 2022 when it comes to digital marketing in your business. If you have questions, feel free to drop them now. We're going to get ready to jump off and continue, rolling into enjoying the start of our holiday. We wish you all a happy holiday. If you have an interest in joining our email list, you can also drop your email here now if you'd like, or again, just go to our website, gogettergroup.com, scroll down far left, bottom of the page, and just click join our email list where you can keep up with some of our updates. Thanks so much for the love, everyone. We really appreciate those of you who stuck it through and had an interest in really hearing about different ways you can grow your business. If you have any questions, again, feel free to drop them, or just go to our website where you can fill out a form and submit an inquiry, and we are happy to answer your questions. We wish you all success in 2022, and thank you for joining our first Instagram Live. All right, everyone, have a great holiday.
Thank you, guys.